And the last ones we got, folks, tight ends. Let's talk about these tight ends because it's kind of interesting tight ends, I will say. We're going to go to our deep league tight ends. Dawson Knox, 4% rostered. What this really comes down to is Dalton Kincaid. We don't know how severe the injury is. He hurt his knee. He landed on his knee awkwardly. He tried to play. They took him out of the game. If Dawson Knox is the tight end running all those routes, you're getting the guy connected to, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Josh Allen. And they have a bye in week 12. So I think my thought process is maybe they keep him out this game just to be a little bit careful with Dalton Kincaid, because they're thinking more long-term playoffs since they're 8-2. But we've seen Knox be a consistent producer tight end. He's been tight end 14 and tight end 8 the 2 seasons before they got Dalton Kincaid. So 2021, 2022. He didn't have less than 40 receptions, 500 yards in either one of those seasons. And he had 8 touchdowns in both those years. I need to double check that. But he was a touchdown magnet in those years. So let me look up Knox really quick because I want to make sure I got that right. Before I speak out both sides of my mouth. Yeah, so he had 6 touchdowns. So he had a decent amount of touchdowns in this game for you. So I think he's a solid guy to pick up. The other guys we got here, Theo Johnson, 6%. He's coming on a little bit in that offense. I will say with what's going on, Daniel Jones, and the potential they replace him, you don't know how it's going to go. So I'm nowhere near as bullish. I would rather invest in Jatavian Sanders. Jatavian Sanders had a bounce back game. Sanders is coming on. I know he had a down week 2 weeks ago, but overall, he's a rookie tight end. This thing's bound to happen. So we'll see how it goes from here. They have a bye this week, so he's more of a stash, right? But he's been just kind of up or down. He will be up or down. Guess who they play in week 12, though? It's the best matchup in the NFL. They play the Kansas City Chiefs. So if anybody's going to produce in that matchup, it's going to be Jatavian Sanders. I know it's rough for the running backs, but that's the tight end team to target. So that's why he's on there. We have Will Dissly. Dissly should have caught another touchdown. He did not. He fumbled it. Herbert made a great play. Hit him. It just unfortunately didn't happen. And the last guy, Davis Allen, who's been coming on strong. He's only 23 years old, so he's pretty young. But overall, when you get these young guys in these roles, if he holds on to it, his his snaps the last 2 weeks have been 55, and then jumped to 80. And his routes run double. They went from 3 to 6. And last week he had 5 receptions for 34 yards. It's a little floor play. But overall, when you're just looking for guys that you can start, I don't mind starting him. I'm going out of my way to target him against, New England or Philadelphia, but you could do worse than Davis Allen. And let's go to medium leagues. And these ones are a little bit more interesting. 26 to 50% of leagues, the rostership percentage, it's Jonnu Smith, folks. Jonnu was 1 yard away from catching a monster touchdown. He made a really good play, and he just fell that short of a touchdown. So if he catches the touchdown, his line looks a lot better than it did. But Jonnu's been good for you. If you look at his target share, his percentage, he's already has 33 receptions, 44 targets. He's well on 347 yards. He's on pace to set career highs in all 3 of those categories this year. He's gonna have the highest target share of his career, and he's been pretty good. He had since week 5, he has not seen less than 4 targets in a game. So he's clearly getting featured. Sometimes it takes these guys a long time to break out. He's been very up or down in his career. He's had a couple of 400-yard seasons. His best season was 2023 in Atlanta, those 2 years. That was last year, right? Where he had 50 receptions, 70 targets, 582 yards. He's on pace to break all of that this year. So we're talking about guys that most people still do not believe in. I don't mind taking a stab at Jonnu Smith, man. He's been solid. And when you're in the boom bust range tight ends, I want that guy. The other guys in this tier really just is Zach Ertz. You know what you're getting out of Zach Ertz. He's an old man production. You're just going to see targets. They're not going to be efficient targets. He's the volume play. It is what it is. Connected to Jaden Daniels. Sometimes it's just that simple. Fantasy does not have to be complicated. You don't really need to dive into all these stats. When you see guys are just earning targets, they're connected to good quarterbacks. It's boom bust when they're these tight end range. But we talk about with Zach Ertz, they are bereft of wide receiver talent. They need help at wide receiver outside of Terry McLaurin. Noah Brown's a wide receiver too. This is why I'm making the case for Noah Brown. I think he's a fine NFL type wide receiver, but he shouldn't be your team's wide receiver too. This is why Zach Ertz is continuing to do his thing. Next up, shallow leagues. We talked about Taysom Hill earlier. We're going to talk about Taysom Hill again. 51% of rosters. Week 10, he should have had an 88-yard touchdown. It was called back. It would have been a monster week for him. This is what we're talking about. His performance never really recovered. But the interesting thing what I noticed and I saw is that he ran a season high 63% of routes. This is more than likely going to continue to happen for Taysom Hill because they do not have wide receivers on this team, right? They don't have guys that they can trust. So expect Taysom Hill's usage to be pretty good in the Saints offense. Now you're still hoping he finds the end zone, things of that nature. It's just, we know the boom bust nature that is Taysom Hill. He can give you 25 points in a week. He can give you 2. It's just the lifestyle that is Taysom Hill. But when you're shooting for ceiling shots, Like Gesicki's at 55%. He's interesting, but we talk about with T. Higgins, if T. Higgins plays, you don't really want to play Mike Gesicki. And even last week, he just fell short of expectations. The other guy, Cole Kmet, 63%. It's really due to what he did earlier in the season. The last couple of weeks, Cole Kmet has just been a non-factor for that team. I think he had 3 targets in this last game. He just hasn't been the focal point. And if that's not the case, it's really difficult on one of the teams that's been one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Sorry, Caleb. It's just been that bad. The 2 guys that I have more confidence in are Tucker Kraft at 70%. I'm not expecting Tucker Kraft to be there, but if Tucker Kraft is there, make the case for him to do it. You know what he is. He's been solid for you. And the other guy, Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry falls into the Zach Ertz tier of players, right? He has the red zone role. He's going to earn you some targets. It's not the most efficient thing in the nature, but overall, it's not bad. So, yeah, those are waiver wire targets this week, man. Like I want to thank you all for joining us. Tomorrow, we're going to jump back into rankings. It'll be myself. It'll be Jeremy. We'll be talking about all the positions we talk about. Start out with quarterbacks, tight ends on Wednesday. We'll do running backs on Thursday, and we'll jump to wide receivers on Friday. And then that'll transition us into Saturday. What we're talking about, the roundtable show. That'll be another live show where you guys can come in, respond, whatever you guys want to talk about. We will happily talk about it on air to, talk shop with you guys. We love talking about it. And then Sunday, the week 11, it is, it's a start show. It is what it is. Starts at 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 Eastern time. I do want to say before we get out of here that those of you that are playing Scott Fishbowl, this is the last week of the regular season. So you either need to hit the points threshold or get your 13 wins. So if you have 12, you have 11 wins, get the 1 or 2 wins, get yourself into the playoffs so you don't have to worry about it. We have a few of us. We're all, I think Aaron already has the wins secured. I know Jeremy and myself are top 300. And then Essie's like close to making the playoffs. So all 4 of us should make the playoffs. We'll see how it goes in the next few weeks. Teams are struggling lately. But overall, yeah, pay attention to that because that season ends a lot earlier just because there's so many teams that have to consolidate. So that's why it ends earlier than instead of week 13 season, it ends week 11. But anyways, I got nothing else, man. I appreciate y'all for joining us. So for Aaron, Essie, Jeremy, myself, take care. I hope you guys enjoy those waivers and good luck getting the players you need to help you win the week. See you, folks.